The Gala's laughter hit like a slap, sharp and sudden, as Claire's voice rang out over the microphone. Emily's always been inspiring, raising a kid alone with no help. Quite the story. Her tone was light, but the jab landed heavy, the crowd's chuckles slicing through the vineyard's glow. I froze, my heart thudding, fingers digging into the tablecloth. Noah, my 9-year-old, tugged my sleeve, his voice small. "Mom, what's she mean by that?" His eyes, wide with confusion, cut deeper than the laughter. The Napa Valley estate chandeliers twinkling, glasses clinking, gowns shimmering, felt like a stage. And I was the unwanted prop. I'm Emily Harper, 35, a single mom scraping by in Oakland. 2 jobs, barista by day, hotel clerk by night, keep our tiny apartment running. It's not much, but Noah's my world, his goofy grin, his endless questions about stars, make every long shift worth it. Tonight, though, I was out of place. My thrift store navy dress too plain for this crowd. Claire, my younger sister, runs this show her charity gala, a glittering affair for Napa's elite. I didn't want to come. The invite arrived late. My name misspelled Emily, like an afterthought. But Noah overheard, eyes sparkling at the idea of a fancy party. He begged, said it'd be like a movie. And somewhere, deep down, I hoped, maybe this time, my family would see me. I saved for weeks, bought Noah a little blazer, tied his tie myself. We drove from Oakland, the vineyards stretching wide, the air crisp. I told myself it could be different. Maybe Claire would smile, maybe Margaret, our mom, would nod my way. But stepping into the estate, I felt it, the weight of their world. Guests in designer suits barely glanced at us. Claire's greeting was cool. A quick, "You're here," her eyes already elsewhere. Margaret passed by, her perfume sharp, not even a look. Noah didn't notice. He whispered, "Mom, those lights look like stars." His joy kept me steady, even as doubt crept in, cold and familiar. The gala was all polished, soft jazz, gleaming tables, laughter that didn't reach the eyes. I sat at a back table, Noah swinging his legs, his blazer already wrinkled. Claire moved through the crowd, her emerald dress catching every light, her smile a magnet. When she took the stage, the room hushed. I shifted, my pulse quick, hoping her speech might hold something kind. She started warm, thanking donors, her voice smooth. Noah leaned in, whispering, "She's like a princess." I nodded, my throat tight, raising my glass. Then her tone shifted, sly and pointed, and her words turned me into a punchline. The laughter spread, not vicious but careless, like I was a story no one cared to get right. Noah's question, "Why'd she say that?" hung in the air, and I had no answer. My chest ached, but I forced a smile, praying he wouldn't see me crumble. Claire's words still stung, a quiet bruise I couldn't shake, as I sat at that back table, Noah's hand warm in mine. My mind drifted to the years that built me, the ones that taught me to stand even when I wanted to crumble. I'm Emily Harper, 35, a single mom holding life together in Oakland's rough edges. My days blur between steaming lattes at Brewed Awakening and checking guests into the Starlight Inn at night. Our apartment's small, cluttered with Noah's drawings and my coffee mugs. But it's home. Noah, my 9-year-old, is my anchor, his giggle, his endless whys, make every ache worth it. I'd do anything to see him smile. Even walk into a gala I knew might hurt. I was never the favorite. Claire, 5 years younger, was the star bright, poised, the daughter who could do no wrong. She had our mom, a Margaret, wrapped around her finger. Her every win framed in gold. Me, I got lectures, sighs. Why can't you be more like Claire growing up in Pacific Heights? I faded into the background, my sketches and dreams tucked away. At 26, I fell for Ryan, a charmer with big talk. When I got pregnant, I thought we'd make it work. Then he left no goodbye, just an empty closet. Noah was coming, and I was alone. Margaret didn't offer help, just a cold. You've made your bed. Emily, Claire, barely 20, gave me a pitying look and moved on. I learned fast in my family. Love was earned, and I was always short. Noah changed it all. Holding him that first time, his tiny hand grabbing mine, I found a strength I didn't know I had. Every late bill, every double shift was for him. But my family's shadow lingered. At holiday dinners, Margaret would toast Claire's latest gala, her San Francisco connections, while I got still at that cafe. Emily Claire never spoke up. She'd just smile, letting the jabs land. I kept going back, for Noah, hoping he'd feel part of something. Deep down, I wanted them to see me not the screw-up, but the mom who'd built a life from nothing. The gala invite came, a crisp envelope with my name wrong, Emily. I almost trashed it, but Noah saw it, his face lighting up. A real party. Mom, like in a castle. His excitement won me over. I scrimped for my navy dress, Noah's blazer, spent hours in our bathroom mirror, him practicing his fancy walk beside me, driving to Napa, the vineyards glowing under the dusk. I let myself hope. Maybe Claire would look at me differently. Maybe Margaret would see Noah and soften. Maybe this night, with its shine and promise, would be a bridge. But Claire's speech shattered that. Her words weren't just a joke. They were a mirror, showing me how they'd always seen me lesser. A cautionary tale. Noah's confusion, his small voice asking what she meant, hurt worse than any laugh. I'd shielded him from their coldness, their judgment. But now he was caught in it. My hands shook, my heart racing, as I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about him, about the world he'd see me in. Yet, looking at his trusting eyes, I felt a spark, fierce, stubborn. I was his mom, his home. No gala, no family could take that away. The Napa Valley air felt heavy, thick with the scent of wine and roses, as the gala's glow pressed against me. Chandeliers cast sharp flecks of light across the tables, their sparkle mocking my unease. Noah sat beside me, his little blazer creased, his fingers tracing the rim of his water glass. He was quiet now, sensing the shift in the room. His earlier chatter about star-like lights faded. My pulse thrummed in my ears, a steady drumbeat as I smoothed the napkin in my lap. Claire's speech was coming, and every nerve screamed to grab Noah and leave. But I stayed, tethered by a fragile hope that this night might not end in pain. The vineyard estate buzzed soft laughter, the clink of forks on china. A jazz trio humming in the corner. Guests in silk and suits moved like they belonged, their ease a world apart from my thrift store navy dress. I felt exposed, my hands too rough, my posture too stiff. Noah, though, still held a spark of wonder. He leaned close, whispering, "Mom, this place is huge, like a spaceship hangar." I forced a smile, ruffling his hair. "Sure is." "Buddy." His voice steadied me, but it couldn't drown the whispers creeping from nearby tables. A man in a tux, his cufflinks glinting, murmured, "Claire's sister. The one who didn't make it." His date nodded, her lips curling. Single mom, right. Bold to show up. My cheeks flushed, but I kept my eyes on Noah, praying he hadn't heard. Claire glided through the crowd, her emerald dress a beacon, her smile pulling every gaze. She stopped at a table, her laugh bright. But when her eyes flicked to me, they were cool, distant. "Emily." "You're here," she said, her voice flat, like I was a guest she'd forgotten to uninvite. She glanced at Noah, adding, "He's getting tall." No warmth, just a nod before she moved on. Margaret was colder, sweeping past in a cloud of perfume, her silver hair flawless, her gaze slicing right through us. Noah didn't see it. He pointed at a dessert tray, whispering, "Can we try the chocolate one?" I nodded, my throat tight, clinging to his joy as dread coiled in my gut. The speeches started donors droning about generosity, their words polished but hollow. The crowd clapped, distracted, sipping their wine. Then Claire took the stage, and the room stilled. Her gown shimmered, her posture perfect, every eye on her. Noah perked up, his legs swinging. "She's so cool," he whispered, enchanted. I managed a nod, my hands clammy, hoping her words might hold a shred of kindness. She began warmly, thanking the crowd, her voice smooth as silk. I lifted my glass, my heart daring to soften, imagining she'd say something about family, about us, but her tone shifted, a sly edge creeping in. "I can't forget my big sister." "Emily," she said, her smile sharp. The spotlight swung to our table, pinning me like a bug. My breath caught, my fingers trembling. Noah looked up, his face bright, expecting something good. Claire paused, letting the moment stretch, then leaned into the mic. "She's quite the example, raising a kid all by herself, making it work, somehow." The crowd chuckled, not cruel but careless. The kind of laugh that dismisses you. My chest burned, my smile frozen, as Noah's voice cut through, small and confused. "Mom, why's that funny?" I had no answer, just a sinking ache, knowing the worst was still coming. Claire's words hung in the air, her sly example twisting like a knife. The Gala's laughter swelled, a soft ripple that felt like a tidal wave, washing over me. "Emily's made choices," Claire continued, her smile tight. "But she's here, showing up, right." The crowd chuckled again, their amusement careless, stinging. My hands gripped the tablecloth, my heart pounding so hard it drowned the jazz trio's hum. Noah's voice, small and shaky, broke through. "Mom, why are they laughing? Did you do something?" His eyes searched mine, confusion clouding his spark, and that hurt more than anything Claire could say. I swallowed, forcing a whisper. "It's okay, buddy, just a joke." But the lie burned, and his frown said he wasn't fooled. Then Margaret's voice cut in, sharp from her table near the stage. "Well, she tries. Doesn't she? Still a Harper, somehow." The laughter grew, not vicious, but biting, like a jab you're supposed to shrug off. My face flushed, my breath shallow. As the room tilted, I scanned the crowd, desperate for a kind face. Walter, my grandfather, stared at his glass, his hands still. A cousin sipped her wine, avoiding my gaze. Then I saw Sarah, my best friend, at a nearby table. She was laughing, her head tilted back, her glass raised like she was toasting Claire's wit. Sarah, who'd sat with me in Oakland, promising, "I've got you." You're tougher than them." Her chuckle was a betrayal, a crack in the trust I'd leaned on, and it hit harder than Margaret's barb. I'd begged Sarah to come tonight, needing her as my shield. She knew my family's chill, how Margaret's words could bruise, how Claire's shine left me in shadow. Last week, over coffee, she'd hugged me, said, "Show 'em you're unstoppable." But now, she laughed with the rest, her eyes sliding past me. I stared, willing her to look, to see the hurt carving me open. She didn't. She clinked glasses with a stranger, her smile easy, as if my pain was just part of the evening's charm. Noah tugged my sleeve, his voice smaller. "Mom, is Sarah mad at us?" I choked out. "No, she's fine." But the words felt hollow, my chest aching with her choice to turn away. The vineyard's glow felt mocking now, the chandeliers too bright, the air thick with judgment. Claire stood tall, soaking in the crowd's approval, her emerald dress glinting. Margaret leaned to her table-mate, her voice carrying, "Emily's always been a lesson." A few more laughs, softer but no less sharp. I wanted to stand, to shout that they didn't know me the nights I'd balanced budgets, patched Noah's shoes, read him stories till my voice gave out. But my throat was dry, my legs heavy. All I could do was hold Noah's hand, his warmth anchoring me as the room spun. Sarah's laughter echoed in my head. A fresh wound. I'd trusted her with my fears, my hope for this night. Her betrayal wasn't loud, but it was deep, a reminder that even my allies could falter. Noah's eyes, wide with worry, broke me most. He was seeing his mom diminished, and I couldn't shield him from that truth. My hands shook, my breath ragged, as I nudged my chair back, ready to take him and go. I didn't care about looking strong anymore. I just needed out away from Claire's stage. Margaret's jabs, Sarah's smile. But before I could stand, a sharp sound pierced the noise, a chair scraping, deliberate and loud, from the head table. The chair's scrape cut through the Gala's laughter like a blade, sharp and final. My eyes snapped to the head table, where Ethan, Claire's fiancé, stood, his face taut, his hand snatching the microphone from her grasp. The room stilled, the chandelier's glow frozen in the sudden hush. I was half standing, Noah's hand tight in mine, my heart racing as I braced to flee. But Ethan's gaze found me, steady and fierce, not with pity but with something solid, like he saw the weight I'd carried. My breath caught, my feet glued to the floor. Whatever was about to happen, it wasn't Claire's show anymore. Ethan stepped forward, his steps measured, the click of his shoes echoing in the silence. The crowd shifted, glasses forgotten, eyes darting between him and Claire, whose smile had cracked, her hands twitching. Margaret's lips parted, but Ethan's voice, calm yet unyielding, filled the space before she could speak. "Emily, stay." The words hit me like a lifeline, pulling me back from the edge. Noah glanced up, his worry easing, sensing a shift. I couldn't move, my chest tight, as Ethan faced the room, his jaw set, his eyes burning with quiet fire. "I've heard a lot tonight about giving, about heart," he said. His voice low but growing, each word deliberate. But what I just saw wasn't heart, it was a cheap shot, passed off as humor. A murmur rippled through the guests, soft gasps breaking the quiet. Claire's face drained, her emerald dress dull under the spotlight. Ethan didn't look at her. His gaze flicked to me, then Noah, and his voice softened. Just a touch. "Emily's raised a kid alone, worked harder than most of you will ever know. And you laugh, because she doesn't fit your polished world." The silence was heavy now, the jazz trio's notes long gone. My throat burned, his words sinking deep. He saw me the mom, the fighter, not the failure. Noah squeezed my hand, whispering, "Mom, he means it." His small voice held awe, and it steadied me, keeping tears at bay. Ethan moved closer to our table, the light casting his shadow long. "You called her an example," he said, turning to Claire, his tone sharp but controlled. "But you meant a warning. You let her son watch his mom get mocked. That's not family, that's cowardice. Claire flinched, her eyes scanning the crowd for allies. But the faces were different, some stunned, some uneasy, a few nodding faintly. Margaret rose, her voice cutting. "Ethan, you're out of line." But he didn't waver. He met her glare, his words measured. "No, you are. And I'm done pretending it's okay." A glass clinked somewhere, the sound stark in the quiet. A woman whispered, "Is he serious?" But Ethan kept going, his voice steady, piercing. He looked at Noah, his tone gentle but firm. "Your mom's tougher than anyone here, kid. Don't forget that." Noah's eyes widened, a shy smile breaking through. My vision blurred, a tear slipping free despite my fight to hold it back. Ethan faced the crowd one last time, his words slow, heavy. "If this is what you call class tearing down someone who's fought to stand, then I don't belong here." He set the microphone down, the soft thud echoing, and walked out, his back straight, past Claire's frozen form, past the silent guests, into the Napa night. The room didn't breathe. Claire stood, her stage shattered, her hands clenched. Margaret's face was stone, but she stayed silent. Noah leaned into me, his voice a whisper. "Mom, he's right. You're awesome." His words, so simple, lit something fierce in me. The laughter was gone, the spotlight dim. I wasn't their joke anymore. I was Emily Harper, and for the first time, I felt it strong, seen, unbroken. Ethan's exit left the gala in a stunned hush, the vineyard's glow dimmed by the weight of his words. The chandeliers seemed to flicker, the air thick with unspoken tension. Claire stood at the head table, her emerald dress no longer radiant, her eyes wide, searching for control. Margaret's hands clenched her napkin, her face a mask of fury, but she didn't speak. Noah's small hand stayed in mine, his warmth steadying my racing heart. He looked up, his voice soft. "Mom, are we going?" I nodded, my throat tight, feeling the room's eyes on us. "Yeah, buddy. Let's head home." My voice was quiet, but there was strength in it, a new kind I hadn't known before. I stood, smoothing my navy dress, no longer caring that it didn't fit this world. Noah grabbed his blazer, his steps close to mine as we moved toward the exit. The crowd parted, their faces a blur, some looked away. Others held my gaze, their expressions soft, almost regretful. Near the door, a shaky voice stopped me. "Emily." It was Walter, my grandfather, his frail hands gripping his cane. His eyes met mine, heavy with something raw. I should have said something. Long ago. "I'm sorry." His words landed gently, like a stone in still water. I gave a small nod, not ready to forgive, but done carrying his silence. "It's okay," I said, and kept walking. Noah beside me, the gala's hum fading behind us. The Napa night was crisp, stars sharp above the vineyards. Noah skipped to our old sedan, his voice bright. "That guy, Ethan, was he like a knight?" I smiled. Unlocking the car. Maybe kid, or just someone who saw the truth. We drove back to Oakland, the road's rhythm soothing. Noah humming softly, his chatter about the gala's lights lifting the weight in my chest. At home, our apartment felt safe. Crayons on the table, coffee mugs in the sink. I tucked Noah in, his eyes heavy. "You're not sad, right?" "Mom," he mumbled. I kissed his forehead. "Not anymore." He smiled, drifting off, and I lingered. His peace grounding me. In the quiet, I wandered to the living room, my eyes catching a small wooden box on the shelf, a gift from my dad, gone when I was 12. I hadn't touched it in years. But tonight, it called me. I opened it, sifting through old photos, a locket, and then a folded letter, my name in his familiar scrawl. My hands shook as I unfolded it. The paper worn, but warm. Emily, you're my fighter. It read, "You've got a heart bigger than the world. Don't let anyone make you small. I love you, always." My breath hitched, tears falling fast. He'd written it before he got sick, when I was just a kid. But it felt like he saw me now, tired, bruised, but standing. The letter was a quiet gift, a truth I'd buried under years of doubt. I wasn't just surviving. I was enough. Holding it. I felt the Gala's sting, Claire's jab, Sarah's laugh, Margaret's coldness lose its edge. Ethan's stand had cracked my shell. But this letter rebuilt me. I didn't need their approval, their stage. I had Noah's trust, my dad's words, my own grit, Claire's cruelty, Sarah's betrayal. They were theirs to carry, not mine. I sat in the dark, the letter against my chest, and for the first time, the ache of not belonging felt small next to the strength I'd found. Noah slept down the hall, safe, loved. That was my world, and no one could dim it. Sunlight spilled into our Oakland apartment, warming the scuffed kitchen table where Noah scribbled rocket designs. I sipped coffee, its familiar bite steadying me. But inside, I felt new lighter, like I'd shed a skin I'd worn too long. The Napa Gala, with its sharp laughter and Ethan's stand, wasn't just a night, it was a turning point. I was Emily Harper, single mom, fighter, and I was done chasing shadows for a place I'd never fit. My phone hummed with messages. A quiet buzz since the gala. A coworker had sent a link days ago. This is wild. Check it out. I opened it, my stomach knotting. A shaky video of Ethan's speech had spread online, shared across local Bay Area pages. Thousands of views piling up. There I was, clutching Noah's hand, as Ethan's voice called out Claire's cruelty. Comments stacked below. "This mom's a hero. Shame on that sister. Real strength right there." I read them, my chest tight. Not with fear, but with a quiet pride. People I'd never met saw me. Not as a failure, but as someone who'd stood tall. It wasn't the spotlight I'd once craved. It was better real. Claire stayed silent. Her gala posts vanished. Her fundraiser barely mentioned in the news. I heard whispers she'd lost donors. Her shine dulled. I didn't reach out. Didn't need to. Her world wasn't mine anymore. Sarah texted once, "I'm sorry. I got caught up." I stared at the words, remembering her laugh, her clinking glass. I'd once have forgiven her, desperate to keep her close. "Now," I replied, "I'm okay. Take care." I meant it. Her betrayal had hurt, but it didn't own me. I was enough without her. Margaret called a week later. Her voice clipped. "Emily, that video's a mess. You've dragged our name through the mud." I let her speak, her words thin, like a song I'd heard too often. When she paused, I said, calm and clear, "I'm done carrying your shame. Mom, that's on you." I hung up, my hands steady, my heart unburdened. It wasn't a fight, it was a release. I didn't need her pride. I had my own. Life kept its rhythm, early shifts, late nights, Noah's crayons everywhere. But I moved differently now, my head higher, my steps sure. Noah saw it. One night, as we flipped pancakes, he grinned, syrup on his chin. "Mom, you're happier, like super happy." I laughed, tossing a dish towel at him. He was right. I wasn't just getting by. I was living, free from the weight of their judgment. A small envelope arrived soon after. No return address. Inside was a pressed daisy, delicate and bright, with a note for the fighter. I smiled, knowing it was Ethan. Word was he'd split with Claire, left her circle without a fuss. I didn't need his voice again. His stand had already changed me. It showed me what I'd forgotten, that my strength wasn't just for Noah, but for me too. I set the daisy on my shelf, next to my dad's letter, a quiet mark of the night I stopped hiding. Noah grew bolder too, his questions sharper. Over dinner, he asked, "Why do some people act mean, like Aunt Claire?" I paused, then said, "Sometimes they're scared of what's different. But you be kind, always." He nodded, serious, and I saw it, a boy learning what strength really means. The gala hadn't just freed me, it was shaping him, teaching him to stand up, to care. That was my win, not Claire's fall or Margaret's silence. I'd built a home, a life, a son who trusted me. And in that trust, I found a truth no one could shake. I was Emily Harper, and I was whole. Noah's crayons clattered on our Oakland kitchen table, his latest spaceship sketch taking shape under the morning light. I leaned against the counter, coffee in hand, feeling the quiet strength that's grown in me since that Napa night. The gala, Claire's sharp words, Sarah's laugh, Ethan's stand. My dad's letter didn't just change me, it carved out truths I want to share. I'm Emily Harper, a single mom who's learned what it takes to keep going. If you're listening, maybe feeling a little lost or unseen, this is for you, not a lecture, but a hand reached out from one fighter to another. Your worth isn't tied to anyone's nod. I spent years chasing Claire's smile, Margaret's approval, Sarah's loyalty, thinking they'd make me enough. But when Noah looked at me, confused by the gala's laughter, I saw I already was for him, for me. The people who matter will see you. The rest don't get to decide your value. Let them go. It's hard, like cutting a thread you've held tight, but it's how you make room for what's real. Protect your peace, even if it means drawing a line. Telling Margaret I was done. Letting Sarah fade, they weren't just words. They were walls I built to keep my heart safe. You don't have to carry everyone's weight. Say no to those who hurt you, family or not, and don't apologize for it. It's not cold, it's claiming the space you deserve. I used to think enduring was strength. Now I know strength is choosing yourself. Bravery doesn't always roar. Ethan's voice shook that room, but my quiet walk out with Noah, head up, was just as fierce. Sometimes courage is showing up, scars and all, or staying soft when the world's hard. My dad's letter, tucked away all those years, reminded me I'd always had that spark. You do too. Trust it, even when it's just a whisper. And kindness, it's a choice that echoes. Ethan didn't owe me his words, but he spoke, and it shifted everything. Noah's small hand in mine, his belief in me, did the same. Be the one who steps up, who says, "That's not right." It doesn't take a stage, a word, a look, can lift someone higher than you know. I've learned the best family isn't always the one you're born into. It's the one you find, the one that sees you clear. My days are still full burnt toast, late shifts, Noah's endless questions, but I carry them lighter, my shoulders free of old doubts. That gala night, that letter. They showed me I'm not just a mom or a worker. I'm a woman who's fought and won, in my own way. If you've ever felt small, like your story doesn't count, hear this: you're bigger than the rooms that try to shrink you. Your fight, your heart, it's enough. I'm telling this story because it's not just mine. It's for anyone who stood in a crowd and felt alone. If it resonates, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. When did you feel unseen? And how'd you rise? Maybe you had an Ethan, or maybe you were your own hero. Your story could light someone else's way. If this moved you, hit that like, share it with someone who needs a lift. Pass it on. And hey, stick around, subscribe. Tap that bell. I'm here, sharing real stories, the kind that dig deep and remind us we're human. Noah's already planning his cameo, says he'll talk about spaceships. You don't want to miss that. Thanks for being here, for listening. You're not alone, and you're stronger than you know. Keep fighting, keep shining.